Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And now we move to this panel. I know it's the last panel, but I hope you're not tired. Because if you are, we'll make sure you're not tired anymore. Okay, so here is my panel, a very strong panel we have got, and I'm sure you will have a great time. But just before we start with the panel, there are a couple of things I would like to tell you. One is that we believe that we are here for the audience and we are here to give you value. And if we are to give you value, the authors here don't matter, the content matters, and therefore no introductions, right? So you know their names, they are sitting in that sequence. I hope, yes, yeah, and therefore you can connect with them. The names are there, right? So that is what where we wanted to save time, and where whatever we do today, we'll look at brevity. So let's start by just one second. I don't know. Okay, so I just have to see the sequence. So basically, today the topic you have heard, but we have divided or we have themed it like from managers to leaders to momentum. And we're going to start with Ajay. So Ajay, can you tell us how do you think the teams that you make are the teams who are which are strong, which are focused, and which are result oriented. So tell us something about what you feel about teams that make great leaders work to bring up good teams.
Okay. Hello. Yeah. Uh, we think if a leader transform their convey the purpose to the team, especially we are working in a different type of environment. Especially we are in financial inclusion area. So our team first would understand the value which we have created in the field, especially how the members are touching or how we are converting the members and how we are giving positive impact to the team. That way, the team can be changed.
Is that all? Okay. So I would tell you a lot later as we go along because that is my subject of building and leading high performing and mission oriented teams. But once you get the teams right and you know the purpose, the more important thing is how about ownership? Because they must take ownership. They must not wait for orders, they must act in absence of orders. That's what we said in the army. A good team works without being supervised and works in absence of orders. So let's have Asad talking about uh, what is what is ownership and how would you deal with that?
Thank you, Brigadier, and reminding me for military discipline and a lot to learn from military, definitely, no matter which country military we are talking about. Now, going back to your question of how do we create such an environment, I think if we really want our people to take ownership without, instead of following orders only, I believe we owe them something, right? We owe them more than instruction, something else. I believe that is what clarity is all. You know, when there is a clarity, we're talking about clarity that takes away the doubt, clarity that removes all kind of assumptions for whatever they are supposed to do. So once things are clear to your people, the ambiguity goes away. At least that fog is removed where they are wondering, shall I take decision? Shall I not take decision? What shall I do? What shall I not do? So once you provide them the clarity, that fog is removed. Now, the second factor that adds up to this, and it is very, very important because only clarity will not work. The second factor is the trust. Before I talk about the trust, I want to say something that late Steve Jobs, has said, and very close to me, that statement. He said, "We do not hire smart people and tell them what to do. Right? We hire smart people so that they tell us what to do." So, if you are having huge team working for you, working with you, whatever you want to call it, and you do not allow them to do what they are hired for, do you think they will take ownership? Do you think really they're going to take ownership? If they feel that my management is not trusting me, why should I take decision then? At the end of the day, they're going to tell me what needs to be done. So let me wait for them to give me order. So if you really want them not to wait for order, clarify everything, clear expectations, clarify the boundaries, and clarify them the guidelines how they are supposed to behave in good time, bad times, and when things are not going as per the plans. They should know, if I have, like for example, aviation, when pilots are flying any kind of aircraft, they have extensive training for the pilots, right? But still, they have something called emergency book. Right? If something happens, they refer to that, and they take decision then and there without talking to the dispatch. Similarly, we need to provide them the guidelines that if something happens, what are my guidelines? It all depends on companies. Some companies will have mission as their guidelines. Some company will have vision as the guidelines. If you are stuck with a decision, see the impact on mission and take a decision. See the impact of that decision on vision and then take decision. So clarity and trusting your team for them to make mistakes and learn out of them. These two factors to me makes the foundation for creating such an environment. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, thank you so much. Uh, Clarity is talking about, and I just want to tell you a small little story that I wanted a handset which had a very good camera, and my son is a professional photographer. So I asked him, he asked me to buy this phone. I bought it. It's got a very good camera, but my pictures still wouldn't be as good as his. So when I asked him, I said, "Tell me, how is it that your pictures are so clear and mine are not?" He says, "Dad, when did you clean your lens?" I said, "I have never done it." So he says, the dust on the lens will never let your pictures be clear. And similarly, the dust or the fog in our mind never lets clarity happen. So clarity is eliminating of what is not wanted. For example, a sculptor, he has a real good picture of the statue, but what he does is he scrapes off all the unnecessary wood, and what emerges is a great statue. So now, having seen the statue, we want to come back to now Alex again with the same thing of, we talked about ownership, we talked about a little bit of purpose and how teams do it, but we'll come back to the very important part of a leader who transits from not doing things but getting things done. And that is an essential transition which I, in my 21 years of teaching in the corporate world, have found people do not easily come to. They don't delegate and they want to do things themselves. And when they do things themselves, they will lose ownership. People will wait for orders. They will say, "Oh, he's going to do it in any case." And so, how do you build those type of autonomous teams who can do things on their own?
Yeah, so I would say that we have to ask our employees and our team members to do the job and without micromanaging their day-to-day activities. So me, and I personally believe in giving my team members the autonomy to run their work streams the way they feel it is the right way of doing it. And then later we look at the results and see where we did well and where we have opportunity to do better. That is one. Secondly, the culture within the company is very, very, very important. So I spend a lot of time sitting with my team members. Can I be heard? Okay, it's not working. Can I borrow one? Thank
You
you.
can borrow a mic.
Okay, cool. I borrowed one. Oh wow. Okay, cool. Just to reiterate. So, I do believe to give the autonomy to my team members to run their work streams and their particular domains the way they feel it's the right way of doing without me micromanaging my team. We look then at the results periodically and see where we do well and where we have opportunity to do better. Secondly, the culture is the fuel of the company, right? The culture is what keeps people going, and the culture is what keeps your family together in that sense. And I spend a lot of time emphasizing on the fact that the we is always greater than the I.
Absolutely. Yes.
And by doing that, and I tell that to my team members who run bigger teams, don't manage people, don't manage them, mentor them,
And mental.
mentor the people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now, before we go further to the next speaker, I want to bring something about this ownership, about the building of teams in that way. That it's a very long story, but I'll just tell you as shortly as I can. I don't know how many of you are aware of the 2008 terrorist attack in Mumbai on the Taj. Anyone knows that? So I'm talking about that. The NSG was called from Delhi. Okay, long story of that. I'll cut short to say when they landed up in front of the gateway of India and they got down from those buses, the mission leader had only been in that unit in the NSG for 3 months. That means he didn't know his team so well. But the system that Indian Army follows is such that he was told when he got down that there are 3 missions and each one of them is equally important. And NSG is designed for one mission at one time. And that entire equipment and manpower is designed for one mission. He had to stand on the road there without any preparation, and he divided his team into 3 parts with the equipment, and within 15 minutes they were disposed of to their various places. And when he got everyone together, he just said 2-3 things. He said, mission, no civilian or nobody other than the terrorist will be killed. I want 0 casualties. Secondly, I want you to ensure that everyone is then evacuated safely out of the hotel. And there was one more thing which is not so significant here. With this very clear terms and telling them what to do and not how to do, the result was that case study has become a world case study where not a single, not even one guest or non-terrorist died. 100% people were evacuated safely. That is the way a team can really perform if you know how to give clear orders, build ownership, and build that teamwork. Now we transit into what is a very important question is that what do we do as managers to become leaders? Which means how does that transition, that shift take place that one could say that no, manager is different, leader is different. And he just said something that you don't order them, you mentor them. So we'll go to Sana, to tell us about how does that transition take place.
So I think in my experience, I'm in senior leadership position for some of the largest design and engineering organizations globally as operation director. And today as an executive coach for leaders, team coach, and leadership development facilitator. I've observed that one thing is clear. So people don't get inspired by titles. People are inspired by people who help them grow. And leaders who create movements, they don't do this relying on their authority. They actually do this because they know how to influence behaviors and environments they operate. And how do they do this? They actually they have things in common. One thing, they see challenges as catalysts for growth. So leaders who create movement, they don't protect their teams from challenges. If anything, they actually help them navigate challenges. They help them going through, and they help them reflect through challenges. So asking questions such as, what can we learn from this? How can we go through this experience? And that's very powerful. Second things that they do is they also create what we call it like speak up culture, which is not a psychological safe environment. There is a slight difference. So people don't speak up, meaning they don't bring their own ideas, innovation, concerns, and risk when they feel it's safe to do so, meaning when they don't fear consequences. That's not enough. People do this and contribute when they know it's also worth it to do so. When they believe that something is going to be done with my contribution. People are going to listen to me somehow. People are going to take my opinion or my concern into account. It doesn't mean everything needs to be acted upon, but at least consider. And that's very important. It creates an environment where people can innovate and grow together. And third thing, very important, leaders who create movements are those who are fully aware of the impact that they have in the culture of an organization or a community that they are part of. What does this mean? We know that behaviors create cultures, and cultures influence environments. And the environment reinforces the behavior. So it's a very powerful loop. And leaders who create movements are fully aware of this loop, and they consciously choose how they want to perform, how do they want to show up. They're aware that they set the tone. Their whispers become shout, and they're fully aware of this. What's powerful here and what's the opportunity? And what I've been doing with a lot of organizations, leaders, and institutions is to help people to learn all of this, because we can learn. And we can create entire organizations that are led in this way. And this is through programs, initiatives, leadership development initiatives, and so on. And people can transform. And when we do that, people don't only perform, but often they transform themselves. And that's what inspires movement, in my experience.
Wonderful. I think it was very well brought out. And organization culture is something which is more important than what is normally understood. I mean, many of us would be doing, I do a 40 minutes class only on what organization culture is, and takes a day or two to build up if you want to really tell people the importance of organization culture. So as she said, cultures shape behaviors, but now we need to also turn into stability. And I want to now get over to Manish to tell us, how do you get stability in a team so that they can work without orders during uncertainty, when things are not imagined, uncertain things happen, or unexpected things happen?
Thank you for the question. I think trust and alignment are the two attributes that are absolutely important when leaders build movements. We heard earlier with a few panels. All of you have heard about the word trust. They spoke about zero trust, but when it comes to people, it's important to understand that for a leader to create a movement, having trust is going to be absolutely important. However, trust and alignment are untangible attributes for a leader to build a movement. What really influences individuals to build trust and alignment is where, Rita, I will take on where you ended. Your behavior functions have an important role to play. So I think being able to understand the sentiments of your employees, being able to build relationships with them, and then to look out for their behavioral signals are some of the fingerprints that we should be looking at as signals for leaders to build movements. I can give you an example of how really has it been happening in our organization. I work for IBM, which is a 100-year-old organization, but I'm very proud to say that even after 100 years, the organization still works in a startup mode. And for us to be able to do that, it's it was absolutely important way back in 1990s that as an organization we were able to build a movement. So the then CEO initiated a movement which had a mission statement, which actually influenced a lot of employees, and that was the Smarter Planet Initiative. Smarter Planet Initiative was during the times when the internet was just starting, and it gave the organization a single messaging that they could actually build a movement upon. Second example was where there was a shift of power. What that basically means is that for leaders to build movements, right, uh, my performance will not be judged only based upon me as an individual. My performance will be judged based upon the business unit or the organization that I belong to. So I think a combination of all these will only ensure that there is alignment and trust. And as leaders, we will be able to build movements beyond management.
Thank you. Thank you. You brought it out very well and very good examples you gave. Now, we have spoken about purpose, we have spoken about ownership, we have spoken about teams. All that said and done, today in the fast-paced, rapid world, we also need to know how do we prepare leaders for the future. So, Suveka, I'll request you to throw some light on what advice would you give leaders to train people and be leaders who are future ready.
Thank you for the question. And simple answer for this one is I would advise future aspiring leaders just lead by example is the first thing. So
Very
they really need to understand what is the purpose, understand the vision of the organization, and then clearly articulate that down to the teams. If they don't understand the vision first, they can't really be able to create the momentum, because the teams, they can't really be able to communicate to the teams in such a way that they will be more feel inclusive of the organization, and that really creates some kind of disconnect with the teams and the vision. So that's the first thing, understand the purpose. Second thing, transparency and trust, maybe. So avoid corporate politics in the first place. So anybody who wanted to be play leader who can actually create momentum cannot really do the corporate politics. In most of the organizations that we see, corporate politics is something which is unavoidable. At some point of time, everybody should have faced in the corporate world, but true leaders should not really entertain that. That's my advice to the people. Let's not get into the corporate politics. Apart from that, adapt to the change, adapt to the technology, adapt to the trends in the market. So, as a leader, if you really wanted to create the right level of momentum in the team, in the organization, you need to understand what's happening outside the organization also. So, you need to understand what is the management goal towards, let's say, next 3 years, next 5 years, where the organization wanted to move forward. So, there may be changes as the top management changes, sometimes the changes that happen, the direction changes, roadmap changes. So in such cases, you need to be flexible enough to adopt those changes and communicate those changes or cascade those changes down to the team. So that's one more key important for any person who wanted to be aspiring leader who truly wants to create the momentum. And last but not least, as you used the word, create empowered, self-empowered teams, autonomous teams. So that's most important thing. So create a psychological safety environment where people can freely, openly talk their ideas and take the decisions. But sometimes these decisions may go wrong as the person is newly coming to the leadership role. They may take some wrong decisions also. That may create an impact. So be watchful. Even though if you create self-empowered team, be watchful. So you really need to understand, are they going in the right track or off track? Whenever they are going off track, guide them in such a way to come back into the right track so that they understand what are the implications or what are the impacts that are going to be created at a lot later part. So considering all these, I think these are my key advices to the aspiring leaders. Understand the vision, cascade the vision in the right way, then take the decisions freely.
Thank you very much. So that really brings about everything that we were talking about this topic. Now we'll go in for a lightning round. And before we go to the lightning round, I want the QR code to be up. So what we want is, we want to promise each one of you that your questions will be answered. And what we are going to do is, to ensure that we take up some quality questions and not waste the time of everyone if the question is not so good and relevant. So we have got a QR code. Now please, any question you have, put it on the QR code. Open this. There's a form, very simple form. Just put your question there and tell us whom is it directed for. So it could be for any one of the panelists or it could be for all. So you can just do that while we go through the lightning round. Now in this lightning round, I would like to ask all of you, and we'll go in this. No, we'll start from the lady and come back.
Thank you.
Okay? Yeah. Only one lady and we told her to be the leader, but she refused. Men sometimes today, for ease of comfort, love to have a women leader, because leave the leadership to her, we'll sit and enjoy and do what. Okay, so in just one or two, sorry? Oh, so only in one or two sentences, I want you to tell us, what do you think is the final one message that is your key message to the audience for making people go from managers to leaders to movement? Start.
I think the most important thing today, at any level in your career, even where we're a student or a CEO, I think is strong belief in our ability to grow. So that whatever our abilities are today, we can expand those abilities. We can continuously learn and develop at any time in our life. When we have this strong belief in ourselves and for others too, then I think we can always expand and explore and become a better version of ourselves.
It has to be shorter than this.
Two words.
15 seconds.
Grow mindset.
15 seconds.
You're putting me in trouble, Brigadier. 15 seconds. Anyways, I'll make it very quick. My suggestion and my recommendation to all of you. First of all, stop calling your employees as your family. They are not. Let's not fool ourselves. Just treat them as humans and everything will be done. Trust me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah. Treat them as friends, treat them as humans.
Hire people you can learn something from and trust them to do their job and do not micromanage them.
Very good. Thank you.
I think as an individual, as a leader, we need to be vulnerable. That's one. Second, as a leader and our employees, we should bring in their ability to learn, unlearn, and learn again and again and again. And lastly, be agile and flexible.
Thank you.
Create an open dialogue culture at all levels.
Very good.
Leadership is not about holding their hands only, but lighting a fire in their hearts.
Very good. We have some time left for the audience. That's what I wanted. Okay. So I will also just add one or two things here. We talked of how we go into future leadership, and one of the main principles of war or leadership in the army is foresight. Are you able to see ahead? And now within this present world of ours, I say good leaders operate ahead of the predictability curve. So you're not operating as of today, as of tomorrow. You are operating a few years ahead and preparing your teams, preparing your organization for that forward area. Okay. And the second thing is the army taught me as a leader two things, and they'll be very, very well worth taking a note of. One, that leader has two tasks. One is accomplishment of mission at all costs. No compromise, no. The second is welfare of your troops. So welfare of your teams. If you take care of this, it's a very tightrope walk, because if you indulge too much into welfare, you'll compromise on the mission. And if you come totally into mission orientation, your people will not be happy. Okay, so now we'll come to the questions. So, do we have some questions? No questions. No questions. So yes, so you can now you can raise your hands, because we wanted to give a fair chance to everyone so that the questions are answered, because that's what we do when we get this data, and we also give you answers within a week from the panel. So any questions now? Yes, one question there. Can somebody give him a mic? Yeah, young man, you can run and come here.
I love your hair, man.
Yeah, okay.
So this is a question oriented towards everybody. I typed in the question, but I was confused whom to ask. So anybody who feels, having relevant experience can answer this. So as a young businessman in my company, or when I see others, there is a notion when I see other businessmen or any managers I talk to, they usually yell at their employees, or they give strict deadlines, especially in India. They make them stay after 12 a.m. and all this stuff. So as a businessman, I decided, I made sure that everything happens. So I plan in advance and try not those things happen to my team and all that stuff. So what is your opinion on, yelling at employees or anything related to competence? What is the line? What's the boundary for a leader or a manager to, mentor an employee, at the same time manager employee, without, going into that, crossing that line? How do we, as a leader?
So again, a military learning, and I'll pass on to somebody more to elaborate. Two words: be firm and polite. That's it. You don't have to yell. Your voice is not going to make the difference. You have to be very firm on what you're saying, but you'd say whatever you say politely.
That's a wonderful question, by the way, and a very genuine one, because not only in India, moreover everywhere, the same thing is happening. The level differs. Now, let's understand the characteristics of the people, those who are shouting. First of all, these people are not the leaders. They are insecure employees in the company. Shouting comes from where? Shouting comes from stress. And stress comes from where? When you cannot handle a situation. And as a leader, if you cannot handle a situation, you are not a leader. Because leader is not like, okay, I'm the father in the company, I'm the big brother, I'll take care of you. No. Leadership is way, way different what we understand. It's beyond our apprehensions. It's not simply, leader does not mean you report to me, you report to me, you report to me, I'll sign your attendance, I'll give you promotion, that's it. No, that's not leadership. That anyone can do that. So it's the insecure people who shout, and definitely it should not be accepted. And I congratulate you that what kind of thinking you're having as a businessman, budding leader. As I said before, treat your people as humans, not as employees. Not your family and not your employees, just human. As a human, treat others the way you would like to be treated, and nothing will come in front of you. Thank you.
I would like to add on. First of all, congratulations. It's always good to see young entrepreneurs picking up the journey, and I wish you all the best. Um, I would boil down the answer to your question into one single word, and that word is respect. So, and it comes again, it depends very much on the leadership, which culture is there within a company. When leaders screaming at their people, then we have a very toxic environment, which ideally the leadership should take care of, that we have a respectful environment. And basically we should respect each other. Forget about the corporate world for a moment. I do strongly believe we should respect each other as a human being and treat each other in that way. And what counts for the how we deal each other on a human level, I would replicate the same into the corporate world. Thank you.
What's your name?
My name is Prince Joseph, sir.
Sorry?
Prince Joseph.
Prince.
Prince Joseph.
Okay. Prince, firstly, what they have told you is what leaders should do. And I'm sure your question is, what do I do when they yell at me? Is that right?
My question is, I mean, to give you context, usually my company is good, but usually when I interact with clients, that's where the toxicity comes in.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, we also now need to understand, and meet me after this. I'll tell you, what do you do when your leaders yell at you? Thank you. That's why. So you have to also learn how to react to them, because what he's saying is good for leaders to know that don't do this. But if they do, then what?
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, we finished on time. Okay.
My name is Muhammad Mansoor. So it's all well and good when you're there, you're leading a team, regardless of how big it is or small it is, and people come and join the team. But many times you'll find that some people will end up joining to be the leader of a team from outside of the team, and you're faced with a culture that's already there. And it's not so easy to put all of these things into practice in one shot. Usually a layered approach maybe is better. So just thinking about that if we just take it from I'm there and everybody's coming on or everybody's already there, it's a lot different than when you are hired maybe to lead a team that already has a toxic culture, already has a lot of problems, and then you have to steward them away from that in a way that everybody will come along and not lose anybody. So anybody's thoughts on that? Yeah, please.
Maybe to take this. So two things are very important here. Number one, it's awareness. Because awareness is the precondition for change. When you have awareness plus action, you have change. So awareness is number one. The second thing I want to say is like a culture. What is a culture? Is the sum of the actions of everyone, right? A community, a country, or an organization. Times the formula, the level of seniority. When you are as a leader, do something in an organization, the way you answer an email, the way you lead a team, the way you scream at your team, you set the tone for everyone else to think that that's the way we should behave. So as a leader, you will be surprised how powerful it is, the way you engage, you show up every day. That's why I mentioned conscious choice. Because often, with a lot of pressure, everyone needs to deliver results, right? So you have that pressure from the top, pressure from the client, pressure from the team. As a leader, it's not an easy position to be. But the moment you become aware that you can consciously choose how you want to show up in that situation, instead of going autopilot, you can make a huge impact. Is it going to happen overnight? No, nothing changes overnight. But you can choose every day to set the tone and give the example. And that can be extremely powerful. You will be surprised how people respond to that.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that. So, since you specifically highlighted about new hires coming in, 100% of the times, uh, it is impossible to say that there is any organization where there's no politics. There will be politics. Uh, my experience has been in my organization that whenever there is a new hire, as a part of onboarding, behavioral training and what is the culture of the organization is now embedded as a part of our onboarding, so that the person who's coming in and joining the team is aware to a certain extent what the dynamics of the team are. That's number one. Secondly, there is a committee, it's like the project management office. There is a sub office within the PMO whose responsibility is only to handhold new joinees for at least a period of 6 months, not just looking at their how well they are doing at their job role, but to ensure that within the first 6 months of being in the organization, they are as comfortable from a culture perspective in which toxicity is also a part of it. So there are people who are now being hired, counselors plus plus, who deal with such kind of aspects. At least that is what we've experienced in our organization. And most of the organizations should be looking at that. Otherwise, there is no movement that can be built. And you are as good as your team. And with the new hires coming in, I think that that becomes more and more important. Yeah. I hope it gives.
I was thinking more in terms of if you come in to lead a new team. If you come in to lead a team. Yeah, you come in to lead a team that you were not part of before, and they have a certain culture, and you're going to have to make a stand, like you were saying, or this is how it's done. You may have to have some losses. You may have to have some losses to prove a point. In my line of business, especially safety is a very important concern. So even if you're busy and you're going to go to do something, you pass by somebody doing something unsafe, you stop everything. And then, because if you walk by, it's not busy, then that's okay. What they're doing is okay. So it's about picking and choosing where to start to change your culture to lead it towards something better. It's not going to happen in one day.
But I want to say one thing.
So it
that is
takes time. It will take time. But there is a way where a new leader who comes in, they bring in their values, influence people to see the what is not going well, eradicate that toxicity and bring it back to rails. So that can be done, but it's a process, as you said, it doesn't happen overnight.
I just want to say one thing. One thing that is super important. As a leader, as a person, whatever you're not changing, you're choosing. In life or at work. So if you see something that doesn't work, toxic behavior, a person who is not giving their best, you're tolerating this is your choosing. You're setting the tone. So it's very important that certain things, oh, I'm new, I'll take it 1 year from now, 6 months from now. It doesn't work. But I'm happy to continue the conversation later. Thank you.
Thank you.